Evening, everyone. Not sure who's out there. Hope you're all having a good start to the week. Just going to wait for Sunny to join us and a couple of other people a little bit early. Hello, CL Sprain. Welcome. I know there's quite a lot of you that are keen for this chat tonight and hear what Sunny has to say. So I'm certainly interested in that. Lumai, how you doing, my friends? Specky, you there? Like anything, if you have any questions, put them down. Let's put Sunny to the test. I'm going to actually send him. I just spoke to him. He is still at work, but let's just send him because this is new to him. He's not done one of these before, so we'll just send him a request just so he can see it. I know he is online. Right. So hopefully, Sunny, I have just sent you a request. You should be able to see that in the bottom. And then if you just tap on it, connecting. Hey. So here we go. Hey. Right.
How's it going, mate?
Not bad. Thank you for doing this.
Yep. Cheers, Wayne. Thank you for the invitation.
I like your background. It's a little bit smarter than mine.
Yours is all right.
No, yours looks pretty cool. Pretty cool with all those screen shapes there.
Yeah. Thanks.
So, Sunny, let's kick this off then, because I think we're not going to quite have enough time this evening, 1 hour. I can see us sort of overrunning that a bit. But
okay.
Let's get into it and try and get as much into the hour that we can before Instagram shuts us off.
Right, no worries.
So can you give us a little bit of background information about you, how you sort of got into the trade, how long you've been in the trade, and where you are now?
Well, I kind of took a bit of a long-rooted way of getting into the motor industry. I should have known really that that is where I wanted to be. So I was one of these kids that were in school, and we had these career advisors coming in and says, "What do you want to do?" And I was always one of these like, I don't know. I really don't know what I want to do. So I ended up going down the scientific route. So I studied biology, chemistry, physics, and all that sort of thing in college. And so that's the way I went. So it's a bit of a, I wanted to go down that way, and I ended up going that way. It's just the way my career path took me. So eventually I ended up working in a laboratory doing colour matching, which is an awesome skill which has transferred over. And it was back in the day with where spectrophotometers were new. So the first generation ones were shocking, literally. They were useless, so everything was done by eye. And I think that's given me quite a good sort of advantage in that area. So, if there's an issue with colours, I'm normally quite good at making adjustments. And I enjoyed that job as well.
What would you say the sort of, if you were to give someone a tip on colour matching, what would that be then, to try and get the right? Is there one thing that you can see would sort of always be a benefit, or is there just?
Yeah, I think it's very difficult. So colour matching is kind of like something you learn to feel, if that makes sense. It's hard to describe it. So when you see colour, like let's say you see a blue, and then I remember the first time someone told me that this blue's too red, and I'm like, what are you on about? That's just crazy. So it's I think it's training your eye to recognise what it's seeing. So as long as you're not colourblind, it's more, which to be honest, I think a lot of painters might be colourblind, and if you are, there's not a lot you can do about that. And no. To be honest, we all got weaknesses, we've all got blind spots, pardon the pun, but we can work around that. That's not a problem. So, but if you've got a good colour match, if you've got good colour vision, it's a case of training your eye first of all to recognise training your brain to see what your eyes are seeing, and then taking it from there. And then as far as adjusting colours, like you got your flop and your face colours. So generally, this is general rule of thumb. If you've got a problem on the face colour, you adjust it with your pearls and your metallics. If you've got a problem with the flop angle colour, then you adjust it with like your solid tinters, like your solid blues and your reds or whatever it is.
That's interesting. Do you want to just let everyone sort of know what your face color and your flop color is? Because there might be some people who don't actually know what that is.
All right, okay, so
Yeah. I'm just trying to cover all our bases. I know what it is you're talking about, but there's some people that may not.
right, okay. Actually, the speed shape's be good for that. So the face color is basically when the light's hitting the object that you're looking at. So that's the face color there.
Yep. So looking directly at something, that's what we're seeing.
Yeah, and then when there's an angle on whatever you're looking at, that's called a flop color or the angle color, and it's basically like the shadow color. And so that bit there, that dark section is the flop.
Yeah. So if you were looking at a car, for example, if for those of you who don't know this, there's bound to be somebody who won't. So if you're looking bang on the wing of the car, that's your face color. But as soon as you start walking around to say the front bumper side and the angle's changing, that's going to be your flop color, where it's going to slightly change and it might not be the same color looking at it down the side of the car as it would when you look at it bang on.
Yeah, and it's amazing what the people who develop these colors can do. Even without chameleon type colors, which physically do shift colors.
Yeah.
You can get like blues, navy blues turning into like aquamarine blues. I love color, and I'm a very visual person, and I love color. And it's so basically I got into the industry because I loved it. It's a passion. It's something I wanted to do. So it was 2007 that I made a career change to the motor trade.
So how did you move from doing the color matching into because you own your own shop now, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I passed my driving test when I was 17. I was a bad driver, and I was constantly crashing the car. So from 17 onwards, I was repairing my own cars in the garage.
So what was your first ever accident then? Can you remember it?
Oh, there's so many of them.
No, the first one you had to go back to your parents, because I've got one, I'll tell you in a minute. So the first one you had to go back to your dad or your mum and say, I've hit the car, or unless you didn't have to do that.
Oh, the first one that I can remember is when I was driving along this narrow lane, and it was kind of at this time of year, when the sun's really low and it gets you in the eyes.
Right.
And basically, I drove straight. That's my excuse, and I'm staying by that. Yeah, I literally drove straight into the back of a wagon because he was stationary, and then I think it was the year later. I didn't have my own car, so it was my sister's car, which made it all the worse. And then the year later, I wrote a car off because of pure stupidity. So, yeah.
I've not done that.
What's yours?
When I first got my car, a friend of mine, Robert, we were in Kenya, and Kenya, the roads are terrible. There's potholes the size of volcano craters out there. This is my excuse. So we were coming around the corner in a little Daihatsu Charade, Robert and myself, first time out doing it, and came around the corner, and this car just stopped to miss this pothole. And I had a choice of either going into this crater of a pothole or hitting the back of the car. And I decided the back of this car was a better option than the crater. But then I had to pull the wing off the wheel and drive it down to my dad's workshop and explain to him how I had now damaged the brand new, well, it wasn't brand new, it was several owners old, but how I'd damaged it. He just told me to go home. He said, go home. So that was it. Went from there home and just waited till he came home, and luckily he'd calmed down by then.
Yeah. Wow.
It happens then, doesn't it?
Yeah, and so I just learned because I was 17, 18, and I didn't have a lot of money, so I just thought, I bought myself a Haynes manual, okay. and it was terrible. It was so outdated. It showed you how to mix your own filler by taking your resins and your filler powder and mixing it together to make your filler, which obviously that doesn't happen these days, but no. Yeah, it was so outdated. But I kind of learned off that, and then met a lot of people in the trade and in the industry, asked them a lot of questions, got a load of advice off them, and it it was difficult because it was a long time ago, and we didn't have the internet access that we do have these days, and all the information that's available to us on YouTube or anything. So I just had this Haynes manual, and then friends basically who showed me the ropes, as it were. So I basically took redundancy, voluntary redundancy from the place that I worked at, and then decided I'd try and seek employment. And because I didn't have any certificates or qualifications, I couldn't go anywhere with it. So basically, I worked alongside of a friend of mine who's not that far away from here for about a year.
Right.
And he showed me like the finer details of repairing. Then from then onwards, I decided, you know what, I really love the idea of doing this full time, and started the following year in 2007, which is a long time ago, really, isn't it?
It is a long time. I'm sorry, I'm just laughing there. John Tomlinson just said, I can see your filler on the bench, beef and tomato noodles behind you. Yeah.
Yeah. This is just that. There is just a bit of an inside joke. So with those books, Where's Wally? It's like that. So I sometimes, quite often, I'll stick a pot noodle in my video. So
Okay.
Yeah,
So
that's all it is. Yeah.
Do you now have any guys working for you, or do you work on your own?
Yeah, so I've got one lad who's multi-skilled, which is great. He does everything from panel beating up to repainting, all the paintwork. And then my wife, she looks after the office part-time, so she does a lot of the administration. And I mentioned about working to your strengths earlier on, and administration is not my strength. I'm awful at it. I'm just terrible, and I've learned to recognise that. So she fills in all those little weaknesses that I have. Something that would take me days to complete, she'll sort them out within minutes or hours. So I think that's a very important life lesson that I learned from working for myself. Basically, it's like sometimes you have to deal with stuff that you personally. Sometimes it's easy to delegate it, and it's more efficient to do it that way.
Yeah, I'm terrible at paperwork. I just put it all in a folder and just send it down to the bookkeeper and just get her to do it all.
Yeah, why not? Why not?
I just waste too much time on it. It's not cost effective for me to try and do my paperwork, and it'd be a mess.
Yeah, pay someone else to do the stuff that you're not good at, so that you can focus on the stuff that you are capable of doing.
Yeah. So okay. So what does your sort of average day entail? What get up, come to work? Is it a long day, early start?
Yeah. I work long days. I don't do early starts. I'm not a morning person.
No.
So generally get into work for about 9 o'clock.
Okay.
And so I'm one of the main administrator of a spray painting group on Facebook.
Yeah.
I used to feel like a bit of a fraud on that because I spent probably 75% of the day doing MET, which is stripping and refitting cars, and bodywork, and then 25% is spray painting. So most of my time is actually spent on bodywork, I would say, like panel beating and filling and that sort of thing.
So you mentioned also about your refinishing your Facebook page, your administrator on your Facebook page, which is called the Refinishing Crew now. I recently joined that, didn't I, just before Christmas, and it's really good. So how did that come about? Because you've got about just under 15,000 followers on there, haven't you?
Yeah, I inherited it, so it wasn't my creation. So I don't take any credit about how many numbers there are in that group. I just look after it basically. I fell into it by accident more than anything. It's about 5 years ago. There was a massive rift in the group, big breakup, and there were splinter groups. You could have made it. You could have wrote a soap opera about it, or it was so dramatic. There was a splinter group that formed. There might have been two splinter groups, and then the group was left with no admin, and then I think basically the members decided let's let's choose someone out of all the members, and for whatever reason they picked me. Back then, I probably, you know what it's like running a business. I felt too busy to try and take anything else on. So I kind of reluctantly said, yeah, I'll look after the group. I'll help to see things, run okay on this. And I think there was about 4 other lads at the same time that were chosen. And that's where it started from. And I kind of got hooked on it. And then I kind of found the value as well of having the group. So whatever I put into the group is what I feel that I would benefit if I was just a member. So like I said, way back in 2007, I had a couple of friends who helped me out to show me the ropes and guide me in the right direction. But on the whole, I just felt on my own, trying to learn things. And my paint distributor at the time wasn't very helpful. I used to ask him for advice, like, I've got this job on, what do I need to do, and what sort of products do I need to use, what are the best products? And basically it was like, oh, we've got this in the corner, collecting dust or something like that. And then when I discovered the refinish, well, it used to be called spray painters. So when I discovered spray painters, it was like a breath of fresh air, loads of advice there. And whatever questions you asked, you'd normally get an answer. And so I value that massively. And I believe that if I wasn't part of that group, I wouldn't be here where I am in my career at all. Not even just a portion of it. So because I value the group, I've decided I'll invest in the group and invest in the people to make sure that, that Joe Bloggs on his own in a little town gets the advice that he needs and the input he needs to be a better repairer. And on the whole, hopefully, the whole industry will improve with that, because people always complain about, oh, the guy on the corner, Fred in his shed, he doesn't know what he's doing. And with the information that's available to us, there's no excuse to not know how to do things properly.
No, and I've sort of picked up from your forum as well that people are really helpful, and it comes down to everything. It's all sort of social media. If you put back in, you can get out quite a lot, because there's a lot of people there that are willing to share. And that wasn't like that in the past. People didn't. It was almost as though it was like a secret fraternity. Nobody wanted to share any information.
Yeah.
And so it's nice to be able to do that. And so credit to you on that forum. I think you're managing it well. Where do you hope to see it in about 5 years' time?
5 years' time?
Do you have any plans for it?
Yeah, I want it to, as far as numbers go, I'm not bothered about numbers. It's never been about quantity. It's more been about quality. Mm-hmm. So, you was around with the whole name change, and it created quite a lot of problems for me, and a lot of disruptions. And I understand why the people got some of the members got upset about it, because some people don't like change, or they didn't like the idea of change, or the direction where they thought it was going. So my intentions are that the group becomes an even better source of information, that people have access to cutting edge technology on what's happening in the industry, like the UV. So I absolutely have massive respect for what you're doing with the whole UV thing. I don't know a lot about UV, for example. So I've got to look to you for stuff like that. So it's true, isn't it? But so I want to present that to the group and say, listen, if you want to get into UV, this is what it can do. This is what's available.
Yeah.
And so it's just like helping everyone to understand that there are better processes available and better products. Then trying to link people up with technical guys, technical assistants, people like that. So again, I when I was starting off, I was stuck in my little workshop, and it wasn't a great workshop. You know, the ceiling would used to cave in once in a while. You used to leak water, and they were the humble beginnings.
Well, we're all
But
going to start somewhere, Sonny.
yeah, got to start somewhere. I remember having to repair cars underneath a gazebo because I didn't want stuff dropping on the cars, and I took a lot of pride in what I did, even though my surroundings weren't that great. So I forgot where I'm going with this.
You're just saying about how you're bringing the group together and you're getting sort
Oh
of more
yeah,
technical rep. I am listening.
yeah. I didn't. Yeah, you're great. I didn't have access to any of that. It
Yeah.
was just me, and that's it. And hoping that I was doing things right, and hoping that I knew that the products I were using were the best within my budget for that
Yep.
particular job. So, you know, further down the line, I'm hoping that people will have better access to technical advice.
Yeah, and I've seen you've also done some really great promotions on there as well. You've managed to speak to a couple of manufacturers, and you've got a few things in the pipeline where they're getting some excellent either discounts or offers available only to your group. So it's if you're not already on Sonny's group, anybody out there, it's worth joining because it's like he says, he's cleaned it up and he's definitely trying to make it a more productive site and helpful. Do you reckon?
Yeah.
I think that sums up.
This obviously, I think. So we're on Instagram at the moment, and a lot of people like Instagram because you don't get a lot of negativity, and the perception of Facebook is there is a lot of negativity, and it's true. There is a heck of a lot of negativity on Facebook, but not. You know, you can no, I wouldn't say eradicate it, but you can minimize that effect and that sort of feeling and that environment by how our groups are administered. So I think I've banned, or people have left as well, about 80 people since the beginning of the year, just because I just want to keep the place nice and positive, and people will. Like negative guys will always slip through the net.
Yeah.
There's not a lot you can do about that. It's just the way. It's just life, and so we just could address those issues as we cross those sort of bridges. But on the flip side, I want to encourage debate as well. You know, adult debate. Like so.
Oh yeah, definitely. But there's constructive criticism that'll help others
Yes.
and make them better. And then there's just saying someone's doing a hack job and that's it. So if they just post
Yeah.
hack job, that doesn't help anything. That doesn't understand the reason behind it. It doesn't say how they would help to improve it. So yeah, I mean, just keep at it, Sonny. You're doing a great job.
Yeah. Cheers. Thank you.
Another question for you then. So what's your favorite thing about your job, would you say? It's certainly not admin, that's for sure.
Yeah, not admin. I pretty much love every aspect of the job. It's my dream job, and that's why I've chosen to take this career. I think it'd be easy to tell you what I don't like about it or what I'm not good about it, and
Go on, then.
people who know me will know this. See, so one thing I'm not good at is seam sealing. I'm not good at that, so I need to up the game on that side of things.
Have you tried Painter Izzy's technique?
I've seen it. She's amazing at that. I've got to try that. Yeah. But yeah, I always make a mess and I end up having to clean up after myself in a big way. So that's. But yeah, I think the two aspects that I like the most about the job, I suppose, is seeing the end job. So once you finish the job and everything's refitted, I think there's a lot of job satisfaction in that, and just you can stand back and just think, yeah, that looks mint. I'd be happy with that if it was my vehicle. So I like that. On the bodywork side of things, I love the dents that you have on wheel arches where it's push the swage line in. I just love pulling them and getting them straight, and I love that as well. I think I really, really do enjoy doing them.
And so coming back to, I enjoy them. Have you got Tony Refinishing's little swage line tool or the dent fix one?
Yeah, yeah. Do you know what? I've had a tool which I made myself out of an old vernier caliper,
Right.
and I just welded like a bush on it, and I've been using that for probably about 10 years. I can't depart from it, so I keep I just go back. I keep going back to that same tool.
You'll have to post it. I used to use. I've got a ruler. Like the way I used to do it, I'd have a ruler and I drilled a little hole in the top, and then so that just the pencil
Oh
tip
yeah,
would fit through, and that worked perfectly fine. There's, it's
just like
whatever
hold
way.
your thumb to guide it.
No, yeah, you just hold, literally, you run that underneath the wheel arch. So you're
Yeah,
holding the ruler, that's underneath the wheel arch, and then
right.
you just go
Yeah,
along. It just, we've all got a little
and
tricks and tricks.
yeah, whatever works, doesn't it?
So you just mentioned there about putting cars back together and stuff. When you take a car to pieces and dismantle it and everything, you've got all the nuts, bolts, and I saw the other day you had your empty tray with no bolts or anything left, so you were impressed with that. So how do you do that? How do you know what goes where you've taken it off when if it's like several days down the road and you're having to put it back? How do you know what pieces are going to go where? Do you have a sort of organization or do you write it up?
Funny you should say that. I was quite smug about when I shared that post. The following day, I went onto my Google Drive to find some photographs on how I stripped a old Ford Fiesta apart, and that's one of the main things is photographs and videos. So if I take a door apart and I want to follow where the wiring loom goes, for example, make sure it's routed correctly in a door, I'll literally take show a photo video of following where everything goes, and I'll point something on the video. I'll actually narrate it as well, and then just say there's a clip here that I shouldn't miss, and then I'll refer back to those photographs and videos.
That's a really
But
good
yeah,
idea.
yeah, yeah, Google decided to wipe out about 2 months worth of videos and
Oh,
photographs off the drive. So I lost all that information, so I had to do everything from memory. So yeah, there's something that could be said about backing your information up.
yeah.
But so videos I use. I've got an organizer here as well. So sometimes on restorations, it might be months before I even return back to a refit.
Yeah,
And obviously, in that sort of space of time, you can forget it. So I use these organisers.
yeah, that's
So
what I saw in your post the other day.
yeah. So each one of these. So if it's a car that I'm stripping apart and I'm going to refit it that week, I can remember where everything goes generally. So I'll just compartmentalise all the parts. So one compartment will be all the bits for the driver's door, and then next to it will be all the bits for the rear door on the same side, and that sort of thing. But if it's going to be a bit of a longer project, I'll just put a bit of masking tape on and write down what part of the car those parts belong to, and then I refer back to the photographs and videos to help me guide, where things go properly.
Yeah, I mean, I struggle to remember what happened last week. Forget
Oh,
like two
yeah,
weeks ago.
I got a terrible memory. I can't remember a lot of things, but the brain seems to be wired for this sort of thing. So uh, I'm not too bad with strip and refit.
That's great. What are your favorite tools then, or and guns? Do you have a favorite gun and a favorite tool?
Favorite gun? I got two favorite guns at the moment.
That's
So
fine.
the Wacom 4600.
Yeah,
Sorry, the Segola 4600 Extreme. So you're a fan of that, well,
I
aren't you?
really like that gun. I like it for my clears. Yeah,
Yeah. So I've got a titanium 1.3 setup in that, which just really suits my spraying style. So it's got quite a wet sort of like center on the spray pattern, rather than the DVR, which has a wider fan. So I just find it easier to spray with that particular setup than the others. And I think that's an important thing, really. Spray painters will say, "Oh yeah, I think about buying a Segola 4600. What's the best setup?" And I don't think there is a best setup. You've got to you got to understand what's best for you, really, more than anything.
I absolutely agree, and I don't think that if you see a painter Joe Blogs cracked out a really fantastic job with one gun, you think, all right, I'm gonna have to buy that gun because that's going to give me the same finish. It doesn't work like that. Really, you need to master the spraying and master the gun, not let the gun master you, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I tried spraying with a Iwasa WS 400, and
Yeah,
that is an amazing gun. I know I got quite a few friends who love that gun. I can put out some unbelievable work. I felt that gun was fighting me a little bit, and as I was using it, so I wanted to get on with it because it's such a cool looking gun, but I think I had to concede and just think it's not for me, and so I was on the Vilbis GTI Pro lights at the time when I discovered the Segola, and it's got a little bit of a GTI Pro light sort of feel about it. I feel at the gun.
hmm
So I think the switch over to the Segola was quite easy and it felt natural. And I just, again, for my spraying style, it's performed better in my hands. So that's why I switched to Segola from the Vilbis.
And what about a tool?
So, do you know, I love my Milwaukee tools. I'm a Milwaukee fanboy, so I've got Milwaukee angle grinders, all battery powered, and impact drivers. They just make my job a lot easier, so I'm not trailing cables around. I just love those cordless tools. So I think my most used tool in the workshop is probably the 1/4 inch Milwaukee impact driver.
Right. I know Adam comes into my workshop, Adam the Dent Man, and he always says about Milwaukee tools and says how good it is. And he's always telling me as well to get a little impact driver as well. And I just, probably 5 years he's been telling me that. I just not got around to it. So maybe I need to
Oh,
look at it a
do
bit
you know
more.
what? Get one. It'll change your life.
Will it? Okay, all right. I'll have a look. Send me a link. Send me a link over the
I'll send
weekend
you
or
a link to
something.
the what? Yeah, I think I just like the whole range. So I've got a Milwaukee like 3 inch polisher, which is great because I'm not
Yeah,
trailing an airline around with me. And because I've got all the tools, I've got all the batteries. So if a battery runs out, I know I'm not going to be stuck because I could just grab another battery and then pop that one on charge, and I'll keep the cycle going. So I've
yeah,
always got power on the tools that I need. I'm quite tempted to get the Milwaukee cordless polisher as well. You know, the 6 inch one, the
yeah.
full size one. So that looks great. So anything to make the job easier and more effective and more efficient is I'm up for it.
I know. The choices are endless, really, aren't they?
Yeah, definitely.
What paint system have you got? And
I've got
why
two
did you
paint
choose that
systems.
one? Okay. Why
Uh,
did you choose
I've,
those?
so I've got an optimal paint system, which is solvent. I shouldn't probably say anything on social media, but it's a solvent paste system. I moved over from Max Mayer just because I wasn't getting on with Max Mayer at the time. This is going back maybe about 6 years ago. Um, I find the actual system really good. So, and I know that I shouldn't be using the actual solvent
But
system.
if you're
So,
doing restoration work, you're allowed to use solvent.
yeah. So we do quite a lot of restoration work and
Yeah.
stuff that don't technically fall into um, vehicle repairs. So, yeah. So I do use the solvent system, but I got the water-based system from Capsian at the moment. So that's something that I think I got installed. Ooh, I think it might be in October. No, I can't remember now. I've lost track of. Last year was a complete mess, wasn't it? So I've lost
Yeah, it
track
was.
of when that was installed. But I think it was like midway through last year.
That's an Egyptian company, isn't it, Capsi?
Yeah. I actually went out to Capsi and visited the factory 3 years ago. I think it was.
Right. And
Yeah, which is fascinating. Actually, seeing paint being produced and how it's all sort of packaged and the colour laboratory. So as I said, I'm a bit of a colour geek,
yeah,
and seeing the colour lab, it was fascinating. It's a building which is it's massive. It's a standalone building. on 3 stories. They got people working 24 hours a day doing colour matching and colour adjustments. It's
Yeah.
just yeah. You don't understand what goes behind the scenes until you see it. And I'm sure other paint manufacturers are the same. Just 24 hours a day, constantly going through colour matching and making adjustments and corrections and putting new formulations together. So
Did that system come with a spectrophotometer or
yeah,
just colour chips?
I got chips and the Spectro as well.
Okay, and is that one of the new Spectras that has 5 reading points or
Yeah,
3?
it's a 5 angle camera.
Right, so that's pretty accurate then.
Yeah, there's a couple of teething problems to be honest with it, and because I know the Capsy guys really well, they're really on board and they want to make sure everything works spot on for the end user. So I'm actually working with Capsy to try and make sure they nail the performance on the 5 angle camera.
And that's working well?
Yeah, the system's really nice actually. The paint's really good. Coverage is amazing because
Yeah.
with the actual solvent, I'm not sure what it's like with the water, but the actual solvent, like some of the reds could be like 5 or 6 coats before you get opacity on them.
Yeah, with the water-based, you need to, if it suggests the ground coat, you need to go with that
Yeah,
ground coat. If you don't, you'll just be there. Well, honestly, if you try and you can see that, if you've tried to skip that stage out and they've recommended it and you skipped it out on your first or second coat, you would be better just to go back and put a ground coat on there and start again.
100.
Otherwise,
Yeah,
you'll
100%.
be there all evening.
Yeah, I saw a really interesting video. It was produced by PPG, I think,
Right.
where they had a red door, and then they primed one edge of the door with the correct ground colour, and then on the other edge of the door, they had it all sort of like feathered out and blended out, so there wasn't a defined edge where the primer was, and the perceived coverage on where the correct ground colour was blended into the door basically made the almost like the repair disappear within 2 coats, and the other side, I think it was about 5 coats before they covered it. So I think it's important to get the correct ground colour as well as blend the ground colour out, so you're not trying to fight against edges of primers and things like that.
Yeah. And so, you say you've got really good coverage on the Capti. You like it?
Yeah. Even I dare say that if you put the wrong ground colour on the red, for example, it would probably still cover in about 2 coats, which is quite phenomenal. And it's not we're not talking about glazurate prices either. So for something at a lower price range to perform so well, I think it's credit to Capsy for developing that.
Because I think it only came onto the market probably about, I only saw it maybe about 2 years ago, and sort of last year it probably it sort of started rolling a bit quicker. Would you say?
Yeah, I think.
Or at least I've not noticed it for it sort of until about 2 years ago.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. So they developed the paint the water-based system, the captured dim of it they call it.
Yeah.
Quite a while back, and it's just like it has been marketed into the European countries, for example. So it's been around, but we didn't know about it basically. So hopefully we know within the next few years we'll see that grow.
More, yeah. Gav has just mentioned it's been in the UK for the last decade. So I've got a few questions for you.
Wow. Yes.
So John Bushman says, I think, no, it might not be John Bushman. I think it is John Bushman. He says, can anyone join your group, basically the painter forum, even though he's a DIY painter? He calls himself a DIY painter, but he actually is a really good painter.
He's a painter, isn't he?
Yeah, so anyone can join it, can't they? They just sign up and then you'll just either accept them or not accept them.
You've got to fill out a questionnaire at the beginning of the when you request to join the group. It's not to make it an elitist group. It's just trying to make sure that the group's where it needs to be, really. So it's just very simple questions of what's your role within the refinishing industry, um, and what's a high bill primer? Just really basic questions like that.
Yeah.
And and basically within that questionnaire, we're trying to steer people who are absolute beginners and they want to learn the ropes, the complete basics. We guide them into a group called Young Guns, and that's a great group. So that's aimed at people who literally haven't ever picked up a spray gun before. So you've got people asking questions about the best aerosol primers or the best aerosol clears or whatever. And those sort of questions, if you ask within a group full of professionals, I reckon could cause problems. So it's kind of like, it's, as I said, it's not being elitist, it's more trying to make sure the questions that are asked kind of fall within the remit of experienced painters. So even if you're a DIYer, as long as you know how to, pick up a spray gun, set it up and spray with it, I'm happy for anyone to join in that regard. So I've got a few friends who are amateur painters who are civil engineers, but they're spraying, their own car or in the garage. And, massive respect to those guys because they don't have spray booths and fancy mixing equipment and infrared lamps or air heaters like you've got. None of that. It's just a compressor and a spray gun and possibly just a propane heater in the corner. So,
old school.
Yeah, old school. So if you can paint in those sort of environments, then, I would say they're just as proficient painter as someone who's painted in a perfect environment.
Well, that's good. So there you go, John. You can just go onto the Refinishing Crew forum and sign up, and then you'll see your questionnaire, and Sonny will take it from there. Carl Healy, I don't know. Do you know Carl_Healy?
Carl Healer?
Yeah, he works. He's a spray painter up in. I don't know where he's up in, but he basically spray paints the chips away.
His name rings a bell.
Yeah, he says, do you have any hobbies outside of the car trade? Which is also one of my questions as well, so we can tie the two together. So one of my questions to you was, what do you do in your spare time or to unwind?
Spare time, what's that?
Well, you never know.
I've got a young family, so I've got a 2-year-old lad. So any of my friends who know him, little Samuel, is a handful, and he keeps me busy. And besides that, I don't really have that many hobbies at all. I think, as I said, I got into the motor trade because I love it as a passion, and that was my hobby. So, in essence, what I get paid for is my hobby. So I feel very fortunate about that. As far as unwinding, winding down and switching off, I've got an overactive mind in all honesty, and I find it very difficult to switch off. So I still spend a lot of time on the refinishing crew in all honesty in my spare time. So that's what I do.
I understand where you're coming from because it's exactly the same for me. It's when you're here and you've got what you're doing with whoever you may be talking to or your followers and answering questions, it is quite hard to switch off. And even though you're still working, because you love what you do, it doesn't feel like a job, does it?
No.
It's what you like. It's what you're passionate about.
Yeah.
Nice.
I totally agree. It's I mean, sometimes I hate my job. I think we all do from time to time. If you've got a car that needs to be out, it's a Friday. A car needs to be out the door. It's you've got silicon reactions on it. It's like literally the worst job in the world that you could ever dream of. But it's also the best job that I could ever think of as well. So it's like both worlds, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Specky Painter, he says, what's your favourite colour? He's asked both of us what's our favourite colour. I don't. Yeah, what's?
Yeah, you go first.
I think there's been some oranges that have come into my workshop, or I've seen driving around, sort of copper oranges. I really like those. I've not painted one, Although I did one year. Oh, this is a story for you. I'll just tell you quickly because it's your show, not my show. But I've so one Christmas I got a duck egg, and I blew the egg, all the egg yolk out of the duck egg. You know how I used to do it at school. I then
Yeah, I remember
yeah,
that.
I then poured at the top. I poured fiberglass resin in and rolled it round so I could got the exact shape of the duck egg. I then took the shell off it. I then sawed it in half because it was hollow inside because I'd rolled it inside the actual egg. And then
Yeah.
I actually sawed it in half and I bought my wife a nice necklace, silver necklace for Christmas. And I put it in this egg and then put it all back together with a little sort of piece of string hanging from it. So it was like a bauble for the Christmas tree. And I painted
Wow.
this really nice high metallic orange, and it looked really good. I brought it home and I said, "Love, I've made it. I've made a bauble for the Christmas tree. Can I put it on there?" She just looked at me like I was crazy because it was basically an egg. And I said, "No, I've spent hours making this thing." So she put it on the tree, but put it where nobody could see it until it came to Christmas Day and it came to opening it up. And then I said, "Well, that's your present is actually hanging on the tree. It's been there for the last 3 weeks." She said, "Oh, what
That's
do you mean?"
amazing.
And then she went and cracked it, and obviously the necklace was in there. But yeah, that's the closest I've come to orange. Back to you. What was your
Wow.
favorite color?
I quite like purples, to be honest. Yeah, I love like blues and purples, so those sort of colours. And yeah, on top of that, I just like really layered colours as well, like barely sort of like fluorescent yellows, things like that. So anyone who's seen my mixing room, everything's almost fluorescent yellow. I love it. So so on cars, I would say blues and purples, and then outside of that, yeah, just bright,
Just bright.
layered, yeah, bright colours.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I definitely for running gear. I love bright colors. If I can get an orange pair of running shoes or something like that, I'll have them for sure. Or
yeah,
electric
yeah,
blue.
can't beat
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
Yeah, when I went on holiday, I bought a pair of fluorescent yellow trainers and my wife, which look great when you're abroad in the sunshine, and then you come back home and it's in sunny Darwin, not so sunny Darwin. She won't let me wear them.
Do you, do
Not
you
with
get
her around anyway.
do you get that look when you go to put them on and you get that look from your wife saying you're not wearing those out with me? Do you get
I
that?
don't get no, I don't get a look, and she just says it outright.
Oh dear, I get that sometimes. I pick something up in the shop and it's something that I really like, and she looks at me and she says, "Nah," and that's
Nah.
right. She says, "Yeah, nah." She said, "But if you like it, you can buy it," which means that if I bought it, I'd never be allowed to wear it.
Yeah,
So
I know the one.
yeah, we've got another comment here from. I'm just trying to go in because it's quite small. J. Newman, 2003. He says, as a young
Yeah,
beginner in spray painting and repairs, both you and Sonny are really helping with my career. Oh, well, that was nice. Well, I'm glad we could be of help to you.
yeah. So I spend a lot of time sending messages and replying to messages to young painters, and there's a massive shortage, isn't there, in the industry of
Mm.
skilled labour, and I think it's something that both of us can contribute to help address really, because if doing what we do inspire young painters to follow in our careers, and something that we love and enjoy, then I think that would be the best thing for me, to be honest.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I'm just going to make a quick announcement. I don't know if Rach, are you on here? If you're on here, if you could just put in a comment in the box that you're here. So, Paint by Rach is, I'm just going to let Sunny, we can share this. So, Sunny, Paint by Rach, and myself have got a little project going on. So, we're going to try and collaborate, three of us. And what we're going to be doing is once a month or whenever we've got something to discuss and review, we're going to open up a little Zoom page, and the three of us will. Ah, here she is. Great, she's here. So the three of us will have had an
Hey,
opportunity.
Rach.
hey, Rach, we'll have an opportunity to try it. So Sunny will try it, I'll try it, Rach is going to try it. So we're all going to come from a different perspective, 3 different perspectives on whatever the product is. And then we'll open a Zoom page so we can interact with you, because we can't, unfortunately, have 3 of us on the Instagram live chat. Otherwise, we would have done that. So that's something interesting that I'm looking forward to working with you 2 on.
Yeah, it's going to be exciting.
Yeah, I think we might get shown up a little bit there, Sonny, but it'll be definitely interesting, because
Yeah.
she's a sterling winner. So, Sonny, can you, before we sort of finish up, can you? Is there a tip that you'd give to us? If there was one tip you could, she was there all the time. Is there one tip you could leave with us on business or just painting or general life? What would that be?
I think you got to be yourself and be true to yourself as well. So as I mentioned, when I was working in a laboratory at the time, I loved doing the job, because besides doing colour matching, I was setting fighter stuff. I was doing destructive testing on materials, and that was quite interesting and exciting for me. But it was only like, well, it was quite a long way down that career path. I think it was 10 years actually. I realised, you know what, this isn't what I want to do. So I think you got to really sort of like search, sort of like within yourself, what do I want to do with my life? And at the end of the day, you know, we've only got one life to live, haven't we? We've only got one shot at this. So why be stuck in a job that you don't like when you can be doing something that you really enjoy? Like I said, I feel really fortunate that I'm doing a job which I'm dead passionate about. Yeah, some days are awful. Some parts of the job I hate, but all in all, I just love my job, love this career. So, and something I hear all the time is spray painters saying, "I hate my job. I hate my job." So, why don't you just leave?
Yeah.
Not. I'm not saying that in a nasty way.
No.
Why don't you just leave? Why don't you leave and seek something that you really, really enjoy? You know, if you want to start a dog grooming business, or you know, want to be a tour guide in Africa or something like that, it doesn't matter. Do something that you're dead passionate about, and I think that's my advice. Do something that you really love, because why be miserable?
I think, and that's so true after the last year, that it's just, just the bizarreness of this last year that we've had, with all the lockdowns and what we can do, what we can't do going there. I think a lot of people have reevaluated their lives and maybe changed things, or just realized that they aren't happy. And that's a really good point. You need to be happy.
Yeah.
You need to wake up in the morning and think, all right, I am a bit knackered, but I'm looking forward to my day.
Yeah. It's all this coronavirus has sort of like brought everything to the surface, hasn't it, for a lot of people? And I think
Yeah.
this is now probably a great time to make changes in your life, you know, and just move things in the right direction that you want them to be. And nothing's impossible, I think, within reason.
Yes.
So, you know, don't be held back by your own limitations. I think that's the other thing I want to share. Really, it's not to make excuses, because sometimes I'm guilty of this. It's like making excuses of why business isn't working, or you know, why I'm not being productive in my work. I think I've got to be brutally honest with myself and just think, you know what, I'm not cutting it. I'm not performing how I should be performing. And it's something that I had a conversation with my staff member a couple of weeks ago, and we were dead open with each other. And he said some stuff to me, and I, as his manager, I could have just went, "No, who do you think you are talking to me like that?" And there was an element of that, but I think you've got to be humble about it. And I thought, and take a step back, and I did. I took a step back. In fact, I had to think about it over the weekend, and just had to reevaluate what I was doing, how I was managing the workshop, and he was right. I have to say, I have to speak to her and say, you know what, you was right. We need to sort something out here. And since then, productivity has gone through the roof. He's better motivated because of it, and we're both happier now. So, yeah, sometimes you've just got to just tackle obstacles in your own life instead of putting excuses in the way. Like I get a lot of people messaging me and says, "Oh, you know what? Running this body shop so hard in this town. No one's got any money. Everyone's tight-fisted." And the truth of the matter is, there's a lot of tight-fisted people in any town.
Mm.
A lot of times there are a lot of money going around. So, you know, it's a failing business because of those reasons. Isn't because of those. It's not down to that. It's down to how we respond to that. So, we need to take responsibility of what goes on in our own lives and within our own businesses, basically.
No, and I think what you've said there, if there are other managers or business owners that are watching this, that's a really good point, because your staff is there, they see things from a different perspective, and you're not always the right. You're not always your way of approaching something is not always correct. So for you to have been able to take that on board, Sonny, and sort of take a step back, like you said, and reevaluate it, and you've clearly it's worked because you've said productivity has increased and you've got a better work
Yeah,
environment.
massively.
And that is so important. But a lot of people don't do that. They think, no, I am the boss. I know what I'm saying, and they're not willing to learn. And I think that's a real stopping block for people.
It's hard. It's really hard. Pride gets in the way, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So we want to sort of like save our own face, as it were. But yeah, pride gets in the way a lot of the time, so we just got to just like drop those barriers down and just and just make sure there's no obstacles that are stopping other people reaching their potential as well as ourselves reaching our own potential.
No, I think that you've sort of finished our chat today perfectly with what you just said there. Somebody that you might know, and his name is Gav_C1984.
Yeah.
I just want to say to you, Gav, I haven't seen you pop up before, but I have enjoyed reading all your comments that have been popping up on the screen as I've been talking to Sonny. So yeah, thanks for contributing. That was, some of them are quite funny. Sonny, thank you so much. Obviously, I look forward to working with you and Rach over the next, well, let's hope for a long time, really. And we'll keep everyone posted with what's happening. Do you want to just say what's happening on your Facebook forum coming up, or do you want to keep that quiet at the moment?
Let's keep it quiet.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. There's something happening, but we're not allowed to say what it is. So just, if you want to know, you need to follow the page.
Yeah. Do you know what? I like to evaluate things. So, so I think I like to put together my, like a concise opinion before I share it with the world.
Okay. So it's there. We're on a little bit of a cliffhanger. You'll have to just stay suspended on that one. Sonny, I'm going to sign you off. Thank you so much, and we'll catch up in the week, no doubt.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure.
All right. Bye, my friend.
Great. Thanks, mate.
So that was Sonny, the Paint Guru. Thank you very much for him. I really enjoyed talking to Sonny. And I would like to just say, for those of you who like to watch this program, on Thursday we have Hannah from Canada, who is Lucky Paint Shop 13. That's at the same time, 7 o'clock. I'm really looking forward to that. So please don't miss it. And thank you to everyone for joining in tonight and putting your comments. We really enjoyed, I really enjoyed reading them. I think Sonny was probably too concentrating. So yeah, have a lovely week, guys, and we'll see you all on Thursday. Okay, bye now.